Representatives there, ma?
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma. Can you start the session because I have a meeting at 3:30.
Sir, we can start the session, sir. No problem.
Okay, we'll start. It's quite a small topic only. So, bradyarrhythmias. I'll just cover the basics of bradyarrhythmias, the types. Treatment I will cover with the tachyarrhythmias. Okay, because tachyarrhythmia is coming next Tuesday. So, I try to cover the treatment part with that, right? So, when you broadly classify arrhythmias, we can take into account as tachyarrhythmias and bradyarrhythmias. Okay. So, when there is an altered impulse formation, you can either get a decrease in the firing rate or increase in the firing rate. Any decrease in the firing rate may lead on to decrease in the automaticity of SA node. SA node is your sinoatrial node, which is situated in your right atrium posterior wall. Okay. So when the altered impulse formation leads to increase in the firing rate of your SA node, or it may lead on to pacemaker potentiation, or it may lead on to abnormal automaticity. All these things can lead on to increase in the firing rate. That is termed as tachyarrhythmias. Okay. So bradyarrhythmias means decrease in the firing rate of your heart. So when we look into the pacemaker hierarchy, you take into account as SA node. The first thing they have given here, SA node, that is your atrium. Okay, that fires in the rate of 60 to 100 per minute. When you come into the AV junction, it fires at the rate of 40 to 60 per minute. When you come into the ventricles, that is the distal Purkinje system, its firing rate is 30 to 40. So when you look into this slide, you can able to say that the SA node fires at the rate of your heart rate, 60 to 100. Below is your AV junction and still below is your ventricles. Okay, this is the pacemaker hierarchy. This is a normal ECG. Okay, so when you take into consideration regarding this P wave, okay, P wave, it leads to atrial activation or atrial depolarization, whatever we call it as. So that accounts for your P wave. Okay, P wave, and normal P wave is 0.12 second. Next thing is your PR interval. They have marked here PR interval. That is the starting of your P wave and starting of your Q wave. That is your PR interval. Next comes your this QRS complex, big complex. That is due to your ventricular activation or ventricular depolarization. Okay. Next comes your QRS width. So the QRS width totally corresponds to your ventricular depolarization. Next thing is your T wave. T wave is due to your ventricular repolarization, and we take this QT interval. You can see here QT interval, that is starting of your Q wave and ending of your T wave. Okay, and the normal time limits, everything they have given in this. So this is a normal ECG where you have a P wave followed by a Q, which is a negative wave. Okay. Next is your R wave. R wave is a positive wave. Next comes your S wave. S wave is again a negative wave. Okay. And then your T wave, which is a positive wave. Okay. So when you see a normal ECG, you have to see the P wave, QRS with QRS complex, then comes your T wave. Okay, this is a normal ECG. So when you see this, now you come to this. This is a normal ECG where you can see a PQRS complex. Okay, then now PQRS. But now when you come here, you can have a pseudo P wave or P dash, whatever we call it as. Okay, P dash. What does this mean? QRS is followed by P wave. Okay, when you come here, there is a wide QRS complex, then followed by a pseudo P wave or an inverted P wave. Okay, what they call this as? This is a atrial. This one is your atrial problem, where there is prolongation of your PR interval as well as the P wave is little smaller. Okay, can you able to see? This is a normal ECG. You have to compare this. Okay, you have to compare this. When you see this junctional type, that is this one, okay, you can see a retrograde P wave that require normal intact AV node. Okay, when you compare this one, there is a wide QRS. So the problem is with ventricles. Okay, now quite simple things I want to explain you in the starting itself. Okay, so SA node, you know the location. SA nodal artery is predominantly supplied by the RCA more than LCX. LCX is your circumflex artery. So how are we going to classify the diseases? So diseases we classify as asymptomatic only with ECG changes alone, or symptomatic patients, it can present with a tachy or a brady or a tachy and brady complex. It can be both, or it could be due to overdrive suppression. And the last is SA nodal disease itself. So it can lead on to a bradyarrhythmia, it can lead on to a pause, it can lead on to an arrest, and it can lead on to an chronotropic incompetence. We'll look into it in detail. So this is a form of sixth sinus syndrome. What they call it as tachycardia bradycardia syndrome or tachybrady complex. Okay. So you can see a atrial flutter wave. Our first ECG is your atrial flutter. What is atrial flutter? Flutter or sawtooth-like appearance in the first ECG. Okay. The second is atrial flutter terminates, followed by sinus arrest. Okay. And then again, you get a junctional escape. What we saw in the last ECG, junctional escape rhythm. This one. Okay. So this is a tachybrady syndrome or a form of sixth sinus syndrome. Okay. So now when you see the P wave is followed by QRS in this. This is a sinus rhythm. Okay, sinus rhythm. Next, what is happening? Sinus brady. So you can calculate the heart rate here. It goes beyond 40 to 50 here. Okay. Then what happens? Ventricular escape rhythm starts. Okay. Ventricular escape rhythm starts where QRS complex becomes little wider and followed by a P wave. Here all the P waves are absent. Can you able to appreciate? P waves are absent here and P waves are absent here. Okay. So it goes in for a escape rhythm. And finally, what happens? Failure of the ventricular escape rhythm lead on to asystole. Asystole means complete heart, complete block. Okay. You can see only one beat is going on, followed by and complete arrest or asystole. Okay. So this is the order of occurrence of events starting from sinus arrest to asystole. So this is what sinus brady lead on to sinus arrest, lead on to junctional escape rhythm with retrograde P waves. You can nicely able to appreciate here that pseudo P waves. All these are retrograde P waves. Okay. Able to follow this sinus arrest, sinus brady, sinus arrest, which follows escape rhythm where you can see retrograde P waves. Okay. Next is your sinus pause. What happens in sinus arrest? This PQRS wave will be completely followed by asystole. This will not occur again. Okay. But in sinus pause, what happens is there is a big pause here. There is a big pause here followed by normal PQRS complex. Okay. That is the difference between sinus arrest and sinus pause. Okay. Next is your chronotropic incompetence, where you get less than 85% of the predicted heart rate. So, is SA node dysfunction or high vagal tone? You have to test with this. You block the sympathetics with 0.2 milligram per kg of a beta blocker like propranolol, or you block the parasympathetics with atropine. Then you completely measure the intrinsic heart rate. Then you can find out whether it is a SA nodal dysfunction or a high vagal tone. Okay. These tests are not followed, but for theoretical purpose, you just know. Next, we move on to the SA exit block. What is that SA exit block? Sinoatrial blocks. We classify into three types of SA blocks. First thing is your first degree, where you can see prolonged SA node conduction time. So in ECG, what you can see? Non-detectable on an ECG, no missing P waves. Okay, there is no missing P waves. So it is very, very, very difficult to find out the first degree SA nodal exit blocks. It will be completely like a normal thing. Okay. Second degree, it lead on to intermittent non-conductions. So that means you can get intermittent absent P waves. Okay, this can be easily picked up. Whereas the third degree is persistent non-conduction. So the difference between a second degree and a third degree is second degree is an intermittent type, third degree is a persistent type, where you get a complete absence of P waves and you have only escape rhythms. Okay, escape rhythms we already saw. Okay, so when you take into consideration second degree SA blocks, we have this Mobitz type 1 and Mobitz type 2. Okay, type 1 secondary SA block, it results from prolongation of SA node conduction with intermittent failure of the impulse originating in the sinus node to conduct the surrounding atrial tissue. So the main point here is it is an intermittent failure. Okay. Second degree SA block appears on the ECG as an intermittent absence of P waves, which is nothing but your Wenckebach phenomenon. Okay. So you can see here, second degree exit AV block type 1. Type 1 is also called as Wenckebach phenomenon. Okay. So where you can see where are the P waves missing? They have marked here. See, there is a P wave missing here. Can you see? P wave missing. So what they call this as 4:3 pattern. For every 4 P waves, one P wave is missing. Okay. Fixed PR interval is the hallmark here. Okay. The PR interval is fixed. Okay. When you come into the second degree SA nodal exit block type 2. We just saw Mobitz type 1. Now it's second degree SA nodal block in that Mobitz type 2. Okay. So there is no change in SA node conduction before the pause. Okay. Here you can see one P wave abruptly drops out. Okay. One P wave abruptly stops out. Okay. So here is the missing P wave. Okay. So you can see very well here. P wave missing, P wave missing, P wave missing. Okay. Third degree, you can see that there is complete SA block, SA nodal block, which results in no P waves in the ECG. Okay. And these are all the causes of SA nodal blocks. When you take into extrinsic causes, you have this autonomic system where you have the carotid sinus hypersensitivity and vasovagal attacks. Okay. When you do the vasovagal stimulation, obviously your heart rate is going to come down. Okay. Next, drugs like beta blocker, calcium channel blocker, antiarrhythmic drugs, digoxin, all these drugs can lead on to bradyarrhythmias. Next important systemic cause is your hypothyroidism. Don't ever miss this. Hypothyroidism is a very important cause for bradyarrhythmia. Next is your sleep apnea syndrome. Next is your hypoxia, hyperthermia, okay, and increased cranial pressure. Okay, increased cranial pressure. When you come into the intrinsic causes, you have this sick sinus syndrome. We already saw that it's a tachybrady syndrome. And you have this pericarditis, myocarditis, all these things. Anything can lead on to brady. It can be a viral, it can be a bacterial. We already saw this, no? Pericarditis, myocarditis. There were empty number of causes for bacterial, viral, all those things. Next is your so how are you going to diagnose? Diagnosis is mainly based on ECG with Holter study. Okay, what is Holter study? You keep on doing the ECG for the next 24 hours continuously. You see whether there is blocks or there are SA nodal degree 1, degree 2, degree 3, whatever. So you completely monitor the patient in a cardiac setup room with continuous ECG. Okay. So how are we going to manage this? Exclude the extrinsic causes. Okay. Extrinsic causes. Short term, you have to increase the heart rate. How are you going to increase? One is your atropine. Second thing is your theophylline. Theophylline is a drug used for increasing the heart rate secondarily. Theophylline is used as a drug of choice for bronchial asthma or COPD patients. So theophylline has a side effect of increasing the heart rate. Now this theophylline is used to increase the heart rate for normal patients. Okay. The third drug is isoprenaline or isoproteinerol. Long term is through only by pacemaker. Okay. Next we move on to this AV node. Okay. So you would have all known this triangle of Koch. Okay. Triangle of Koch where your AV node stimulation occurs. Okay. So the components of AV conduction happens from the start of your Q or S. Okay. Next is your intraventricular conduction system. So this is your AV node. AV node is followed by His bundle. His bundle immediately branches out into the right bundle and the left bundle. Then you have the fascicles. All these are the fascicles. Left anterior fascicle and left posterior fascicle. Okay, this is the bundle of his Purkinje system. So how are you going to classify? Again, AV blocks can be classified as first degree, second degree, and third degree. Second degree can be classified into Mobitz type 1 or Wenckebach Mobitz type 2. Okay. So when you see this first degree AV block, what can you see here? There are prolongation of PR interval. Can you see? It is more than 0.2 here, here, here. All these things you can see. There is prolongation of PR interval. Okay. When you come into second degree Mobitz type 1, the PR interval progressively increases. Okay. In type 1, you can see a standard or a constant PR interval prolongation. When you measure this, this is 4 box. Here also 4 box. Here also 4 box. All PR interval has only four boxes, small box. When you come into second degree Mobitz type 1, you can see 1 box. Now it's going to 3 box. Now it's going to 5 box. Okay. So PR interval progressively increases until a P wave is not conducted. Okay. Here there is a missing beat. You can able to see here. Okay. Here there is no conduction. So until here you can see that PR is prolonging slowly. When you come into Mobitz type 2, the PR interval of the conducted beats is normal, but some P waves are not conducted. That is the difference between second degree Mobitz type 1 and type 2. Okay. The constant PR interval distinguishes this from Wenckebach phenomenon. He itself very clearly given. Constant PR interval distinguishes it from Wenckebach. So, what does this Wenckebach phenomenon says? It is progressively increasing in the PR interval. Progressively increase in the PR interval is type 1 Mobitz. Whereas type 2 Mobitz, you have a PR interval normal. This is a normal PR interval. Here also normal PR interval. Here also normal PR interval. But now there are some P waves not conducted by QRS. Here it is not conducted. Here it is not conducted. Here it is not conducted. Okay. When you come to third degree AV block, it is a complete AV block where there is full dissociation of P wave and QRS complex. Here there is a P wave followed by QRS. There is no P wave conduction. There is no QRS conduction. Okay. Here one P wave. Abnormally one QRS comes. Here one P wave is conducted. There is no QRS. There is P wave. Later on this QRS comes. So there is complete dissociation of P wave and QRS in third degree. Okay. Too much for you. Okay. So what are all the etiologies of AV blocks? Again, when you see, you have this autonomic causes like your vasovagal or carotid sinus hypersensitivity. When you come into the metabolic or endocrine causes, you have hypothyroidism, hyperkalemia. One another important thing you should know: hyperkalemia, hypermagnesemia, and adrenal insufficiency. When you come into drug related, again the same type drugs: beta blocker, calcium channel blocker, digitalis, antiarrhythmic drugs. When you come into infectious causes, you have endocarditis, Lyme's disease, Chagas disease, syphilis. All these things we discussed in this myocarditis class. Okay. Next, very rarely you get this heritable or congenital causes. Kearns-Sayre syndrome, okay, maternal SLE, congenital heart is quite rare. Myotonic dystrophy, progressive familial heart blocks, all these are quite rare. When you come into the inflammatory causes, very, 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 very important again. SLE, rheumatoid arthritis, multi-connective tissue disorder, and scleroderma. You should know this inflammatory causes of Brady. Okay, that is especially AV nodal blocks. Infiltrative type, you can have amyloidosis, sarcoidosis, hemochromatosis. Very rarely you have this neoplastic or traumatic causes. Degenerative causes, again, very, very, very rare. And you can have coronary artery disease following an acute myocardial infarction. Okay. So now how are you going to manage? You again exclude all the functional causes. Functional causes means all the extrinsic causes. Okay, like thyroid, adrenal, okay, any impending drugs or any infection. All these are very, very, very common things. First, you rule out common things. Next comes your pacing. Pacing, temporary pacing and a permanent pacing. Okay. Temporary pacing through transcutaneous or through transjugular. Okay. So this is a temporary pacemaker implantation where for the temporary period, you just go through the transjugular. So they're going through your transjugular now. Okay. Transjugular portal entry and they fix the pacemaker here for activation of the nodes. Okay. Next comes your permanent pacemaker implantation, where your chest wall is penetrated by the permanent pacemaker, and this generates pulse which goes and stimulates your right atrium. Okay, can you able to follow this? Okay, this is a permanent pacemaker implantation where you cannot remove this. Okay, it is placed permanently in the chest wall. Okay, and they have this permanent pacemaker codes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is just for completion sake. Okay, not important. What are all the complications? Okay, complications again, pacemaker syndrome. What is pacemaker syndrome? Fatigue, neck pulsation, palpitation. Then you have the raised JVP, Canon waves. Again, what are the Canon waves? It's a raised JVP with giant A waves. Okay, and CCF. CCF means your congestive cardiac failure. One another important thing is your Twiddler syndrome. What is this Twiddler syndrome? So Twiddler syndrome, it means a permanent malfunction of the pacemaker due to patient's manipulation. Okay. So it is a malfunction of pacemaker due to patient's manipulation of the pulse generator. Okay. So subconscious spinning of the pacemaker's pulse generator is the important thing in Twiddler syndrome. And what are all the indications? Indications of permanent pacemaker implantation. So they have different classes. So in class 1, for those patients where there is evidence or consensus of opinion that therapy is useful and effective. So an interventional cardiologist says that this patient may get benefited or it is effective when you put a permanent pacemaker. So those patients belongs to class 1. Class 2, there is conflicting evidence or a divergence of opinion about the efficacy of a procedure. So what are those divergence of opinion? 2A, where weight of evidence or opinion favors treatment. 2B is efficacy is less established by the evidence or opinion of the expert. Class 3, there is evidence or weight of opinion that indicates therapy is not efficacious or useful and they may be harmful. So those patients belong to class 3. Okay. So this is a quite small topic only. So any doubt you have? I think I'll repeat this.
Sir, what would be the difference between on an ECG? How would be the difference between a SA nodal block and AV nodal block, sir?
SA node mainly depends on the P wave and PR interval. Okay,
Yes, sir.
because SA node starts with your P waves,
Yes, sir.
whereas your AV shows the PR interval.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is a major difference between your SA block and an AV block. When there is like this pattern, no, what I'm showing now, this slide, 6 sinus, or
Yes.
there can be a sinus arrest, or there can be a asystole. So main concern for an SA node in an ECG is P wave. Okay, when you
Yes.
come to AV node, you can see this. So when you come to AV node, this is purely based on the PR interval. So first degree AV block has PR interval prolongation, but it is constant. You can see the constant PR interval prolongation. When you come to the second degree, it is progressively increasing in the PR interval duration. When you come to third degree, it is complete dissociation from the P wave and QRS complex. So this is a difference between SA node and an AV node. The end point of this presentation is when you look into an ECG, you first see P wave. P wave absent, there is a problem in SA node. PR interval prolongation, there is a problem in AV node. Okay. Further on, you can develop more and more when you see more ECGs. For theoretical purpose, the main point is what I told now.
Sir, then the first degree SA nodal block, how do we see that, sir? What's the effect, sir?
Nothing much more. It's quite very difficult.
Okay. It doesn't have prolonged PR interval,
No,
sir.
no.
Uh,
PR interval is usually seen in AV blocks.
AV blocks only.
Yeah. You are asking AV block first degree or SA node first degree.
SA node first degree, sir.
SA node is quite difficult.
Okay.
Very,
Sir,
very rarely we pick up. Very rare.
okay. And in the chat box, there's a doubt, sir. In SA node block, when P wave is missing, along with its, would the QRS complex also be missing next
No,
to it?
not always. Not
Not
always.
always.
Not always. Because as SA node is controlled, sorry, P wave is controlled by your SA.
Yes, sir.
Where PR interval and the further process like your QRS, T waves is by another control. So there can always be a dissociation between SA node and an AV node. So there can always be an ECG without P waves or without QRS. Anything can come.
Okay, sir.
Like what I have put the present slide, no, third degree complete AV block. There are
Yes.
some P waves, but QRS is obviously missing. Again, you can see some P waves which is conducted by QRS. Again, P wave is alone coming, not followed by QRS.
Sir,
Okay,
one
able to
doubt.
follow? Yeah, tell me.
Uh, Sir, the changes what we have studied now for AV block and SA block, are they
Hmm.
specific to lead 2 only, or they can be seen in any other 12 leads, sir?
They can be seen in any other things. This is not a particular thing for lead 2 alone.
Okay, sir.
It can be seen in any leads. Did anyone take ECG class for you?
No, sir.
No. Okay, I thought someone would have taken. Then what we do is, next class, no, I'll take the basics of ECG because without basics of ECG, no one can understand ECG. Okay. Hmm.
Okay, sir.
So I'll try to touch the basic things in ECG. Then I can go through again this SA blocks and AV blocks once again also. No issues. But without understanding the basics of ECG, it's quite difficult to understand all these blocks. Okay. Anyway, I'll try to modify in the next class.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other doubts? No doubts, no? Anyone else? And shall we wind up this class now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ma. Thank you.
Thank
You
you,
just
sir.
send the attendance alone, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.